In January of 2015, a group of film students in Auckland, New Zealand, were outside their school near Parnell railway station, recording for class. One of them, a student named Chris Meir, captured something far more unsettling than he could have anticipated. At first, the footage seems harmless. Just a few students laughing, joking, and playing around with the camera. But their mood quickly shifted when they noticed something unusual in the tall grass beside the station. Two figures stood there, a man and a woman, both wearing expressionless white masks, silently watching them. The students initially laughed it off, thinking it was just a prank set up by classmates. But as the moments dragged on, the laughter began to sound more nervous than playful. The pair in the grass weren't moving much, but their intent stares made it clear this wasn't a lighthearted joke. Then, something even more disturbing became apparent. In certain frames of the footage, one of the masked strangers seemed to be carrying a weapon, possibly a pistol.
Where's the other one? Where's the other one? I don't see him.
That was enough to send Chris and his friends fleeing toward the road. Not long after, a police helicopter was spotted circling the area. It remains unclear who alerted authorities, but reports show that this wasn't the first time the masked couple had been seen. Just days earlier, they had confronted a woman in Auckland's Domain Park, scaring her away before police could respond. When officers met with Chris and the others, they filed a full report. The Auckland Police Department later issued a public warning through Facebook, urging citizens to keep their distance if they encountered the masked pair. Officers made it clear, whether the weapons were real or fake, they would have to treat the situation as if they were genuine firearms. Eventually, the suspects came forward to police. But the investigation left more questions than answers. Authorities released almost no information about who these individuals were, what their motives might have been, or if the weapons were truly fake. The school itself denied any involvement, confirming that this wasn't a staged prank. And while one police spokesperson later claimed the weapons weren't real, no official statement was ever published to confirm it. To this day, no one knows why a masked couple stalked students outside a railway station in Auckland, or what they had planned. What is certain, however, is that Chris and his friends were fortunate to escape before the encounter escalated into something far worse. At the base of Japan's Mount Fuji lies a forest unlike any other. A vast, tangled stretch of trees the locals call Aokigahara, or the Sea of Trees. It grew from a field of hardened lava, left behind by Mount Fuji's last major eruption. Over centuries, nature reclaimed the land, turning the black rock into a dense, almost silent forest. But today, Aokigahara is known for something far darker. For decades, it's been infamous as a place where people come to end their lives. Step far enough into the woods, and the air changes. Sound fades. Paths twist in circles. And it's said that compasses stop working among the iron-rich soil. Many who enter never find their way out. At the entrance, a small sign greets visitors. It reads, "Quietly think once more of your parents, your siblings, your children. Please, don't suffer alone. Reach out before you decide." In July of 2017, a YouTuber and urban explorer known as Burbex ventured into the Sea of Trees to document what he found. The video begins calmly, the forest almost peaceful. But only a few minutes in, the tone shifts. He stumbles upon an abandoned bicycle, leaning against a tree untouched.
I'm only a few meters away from the road right now, but I've already found an abandoned bike. It's actually a pretty nice bike. Let's take a look at it. I don't think it's been here a long time. What do we got in here? And there's a packet for a knife. I think I've just found some kind of note in a bag. It says 1211. I can't quite make out. I think this is somebody's name just here. And I'm not sure what this means.
On the seat, a piece of torn plastic packaging from a kitchen knife. Not far from it, a plastic bag with a note written in Japanese. The note read, 1211 verified. Fujiyoshida Police Station verified. A quiet, bureaucratic phrase that confirmed the worst. It marked the belongings of someone who had been found there by the authorities. The camera lingers for a moment before moving on, and it's hard not to imagine the story behind those few objects left in the dirt. Over the years, countless similar discoveries have been made in this forest. In response, the Japanese government installed security cameras, and trained volunteers now patrol the trails, speaking with those who seem lost or alone. But despite these efforts, Aokigahara remains a magnet for tragedy. And the more the media turns it into a symbol, a dark curiosity, the more people are drawn to it. In early 2023, a man named David Meredith set out for his usual evening walk through his quiet neighborhood in Red Deer, Canada. The sun was low, the air still. But what started as an ordinary stroll would turn into a life-threatening encounter. Not far from the path, David spotted a massive bull moose grazing near a tree. Wanting a closer look, he quietly stepped behind another tree to watch. But within seconds, the animal lifted its head, locked eyes with him, and began to charge. For context, a full-grown male moose can reach speeds of over 35 miles per hour, nearly twice as fast as an average human. They're not typically aggressive, but when provoked or startled, their size and power can be deadly. In that moment, David had no choice. Instinct took over. He lunged upward, grabbing a low branch and pulling himself into the tree just as the moose closed in.
He just ran me up a tree.
Below him, the animal stopped and glared, breathing heavily. David hit record on his phone, capturing the chilling scene. His nervous breathing audible as the moose circled the base of the tree. For nearly half a minute, the creature stood still, staring. Then it began charging back and forth, its head lowered. A clear warning sign that it was agitated and ready to attack. If David slipped or that thin branch snapped, there would have been no escape. According to what he later told local news, David clung to that tree for over 10 minutes while the moose refused to leave. When asked how he managed to climb up, he demonstrated using the same weak branch that somehow held his weight. A small miracle, considering one wrong move could have ended the story very differently. Eventually, realizing David wasn't coming down, the moose lost interest and wandered off into the trees. David waited another half hour before finally climbing back down, shaken but alive. Encounters like this are a reminder that nature doesn't always need to be hostile to be terrifying. Sometimes survival depends on nothing more than a single branch holding firm. In the summer of 2014, a man named Chris set out on his mountain bike along a rugged trail near Fernie, British Columbia. It was a quiet day, just the sound of wind through the trees and gravel crunching beneath the tires. But what started as an ordinary ride would soon turn into a close brush with death. Out of the tall grass beside the trail, Chris noticed movement. Subtle at first, like a shadow gliding through the green. When he looked closer, he realized what it was. A mountain lion, staring straight at him. Instinctively, he hit record on his camera. At first, the animal was hard to spot, its coat blending perfectly into the grass. But as the seconds passed, it began to move closer. Slowly, deliberately, its eyes locked on him. Encounters with mountain lions are rare, attacks even rarer. But when one begins to stalk you, crouched low, head level, tail twitching, it's not out of curiosity. It's preparing to strike. About 2 minutes into the recording, the lion's pace quickened. And that's when Chris made a dangerous mistake. He turned his back and started to run.
Hey, Mr. Mountain Lion. How are you doing?
To a predator, that's not retreat. That's prey behavior. The lion followed. It circled through the grass, never breaking eye contact, keeping him pinned between the open trail and the tree line. Chris tried shouting, waving, anything to scare it off. But the mountain lion didn't flinch. It was studying him, measuring. For several agonizing minutes, the standoff continued. Chris edged toward the main path, hoping to reach his car. But each time he moved, the lion moved too, mirroring him, cutting him off. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, the animal stopped. It stared one last time, then turned, disappearing silently into the forest. For reasons no one can explain, it chose to let him go. Maybe it wasn't hungry. Maybe it lost interest. Or maybe, for a brief moment, something in Chris's eyes convinced it to walk away. Whatever the reason, he survived. Not because he escaped, but because the mountain lion decided he could. In March of 2019, a quiet suburban neighborhood in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, became the setting for something deeply unsettling. A 5-year-old girl was playing near a creek behind her home, a patch of woods her family knew well. They'd lived there for over 13 years, and her parents, Dave and Mrs. Carrata, often let their daughter play there, certain the area was safe. But that afternoon, she stumbled onto something that would change the way they looked at those woods forever. Near the edge of the trees, the girl noticed what looked like a pile of clothing. Strange, out of place, and partially hidden in the brush. Curious, she went closer. Moments later, she sprinted back to her house in a panic, calling for her father. When Dave reached the spot, his heart sank. The clothes weren't just discarded. They appeared to have been cut off a person's body. Torn fabric. Deep, reddish stains. A woman's outfit. Shredded and weathered, but still undeniably human. He immediately called the Bergen County Sheriff's Office, unsure what else to do. Police soon arrived and confirmed what he suspected. The clothes had likely been there for months, long enough to be faded and frayed by the elements, but not enough to explain the deliberate slashes through the fabric. Authorities put out a public request, asking if anyone could identify the clothing. They hoped it was a misunderstanding, maybe an abandoned costume, or a prank. But no one came forward. Without a matching missing person or a confirmed crime scene, investigators couldn't send the clothing for forensic testing. And just like that, the trail went cold. To this day, the Fair Lawn Police Department has never linked those clothes to anyone. No name, no body, no explanation. All that remains is a single quiet question that still lingers among the trees behind the Carrata home. Whose clothes were they? And what really happened in those woods?